Today's scripture starts Matthew chapter 5, verse 1 through 2, verses 14 through 16. When he saw the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth, and he began teaching them, saying, "You are the light of the world. A city cannot be hidden, located on a mountain. People light a lamp and set it, not under a basket, but on a lampstand. And it shines on all those in the house. Likewise, let your light shine before men, so they may see your fine works and give glory to your Father in the heavens." Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 2, verse 14 through 16. Anytime there's talk of going up on a mountain, we know something big is getting ready to happen. Being on the highest point is a powerful metaphor, and not just for metaphysicians, but for all peoples and all cultures since the days of an oral tradition being told around a fire. And I can't think of any imagery as powerful as the picture these words paint. And it's no mistake either that our scripture here opens to the great 8 Beatitudes given in the book of Matthew, atop a high perch. These first audiences to hear the spoken words of the 8 Beatitudes would recognize right away that Jesus, by speaking from this high place, had authority. He was a man of God, poised at this pinnacle of light, so to speak, with a rapt and attentive audience. He delivers a sort of set of directions or blessings for the people to live by, knowing that the human condition can be uplifted, that living by a code one can follow, a person can find their own inner connection, their own inner spark of consciousness. That own inner spark of divinity, which would help negate harsh living conditions and a lack of awareness. That instead, the way of life has magic, meaning, and transcendence. The daily path was not just a dead end, because the inner, sacred, radiant light within all of us, when nurtured, provides illumination on the individual path that shines outwards to others. And this basic blueprint, these directions, get repeated in other books in the Bible. We see them again in Luke's gospel, called the Sermon on the Plain, or the Blessings and the Woes. And although the style of delivery is a little different, contrasting a good and a negative condition, again, these are instructions on right action living. In the Luke scripture, Jesus describes what the world would really look like if people followed his teachings. The final verses in today's Matthew scripture reminds us how powerful a bright light can be. Also, if you have this light, it shines for all the world to see and know. So don't be small about it. Let it shine out like the sound of light on top of the mountain. So these instructions, we can live by them today, making the inner soul a beacon for others, a sanctuary, an oasis that waters a hungry world. This being embraced can be felt, and it makes a difference. As a child growing up like any other, if my parents, a teacher, or any person of authority were to give me the same directions over and over again, you could be sure I would be listening. Partly because I would not be paying any attention unless they said it till they were blue in the face. And it seems we need to hear the same thing over and over a lot. These directions on our original packaging, if you will, were given in the Piscean era that only now has ended, is ending. And we find ourselves bang at the beginning of the Aquarian age, perched on a parapet looking down the birth canal of a new age, and we're afraid. Living in a transitional age such as ours is scary. Things are falling apart. The future is unknowable, and so much doesn't cohere or make sense. We can't seem to put order to it. In just the last 12 months, we've seen ushered in a worldwide pandemic, which has interrupted the consumer society that is kicking and screaming to the very end. The Aquarian energy is that of interconnectedness of society. It is our collective energy, a justice and higher order for all. In truth, the idealism of Aquarius is not warm and fuzzy, although it does aspire in favor of the collective. Also adding to the arena of energies at this auspicious time is the other planetary energies, adding to a constriction of old world order and of, quite frankly, death and transformation. That would be Saturn and Pluto for the astrological minded. These are the energies that remain in influence in our skies now until 2023 and 2024, in time for the elections. It is noted this planetary collective was last seen roughly 300 years ago in another well-known time as the Reformation. Another age of great transformation, death, rebirth. Now is the time to go to your inner high place, becoming one with the light beyond description. Expand your good and let it be shared with others. This good you have, every soul the good touches reverberates to an even higher good, even if just one smile at a time. This is how we make change. Margaret Mead, a known anthropologist, wrote, "Never doubt a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." At the same time, our world climate is spiraling out of control due to greed for personal gain. No collective cooperation of equitable resources. We need to make change for the good of all. Because the world needs us now, we have our early instructions from Jesus, how to be better people, how to invite the good to happen. And this is the beginning of that bright light that shines, a bright light beyond description. John Davis wrote, "Revelation for our time, a metaphysical perspective, a new spiritual language using numerology, decoding ancient mysteries." He adds insight to this transit from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, citing that America is taxed to hopefully pass the test, reconnecting the divine masculine to the empowerment of both woman and the feminine energy. Our country has always been an experiment in the balancing of masculine and feminine energies. According to the numeric vibrational code of our nation's founding date, July 4th, 1776, which is also a number that carries the vibration of the Messiah code. If we lose our balance, we lose our way. One has to use the good to make change. We have to see that action needs to be taken. Recognize the process. When we don't see what is happening in our lives or the greater highway of the world, whether that's intentionally or ignored or not just able to face certain facts, truths, the universe has a way of sending catastrophe to get our attention, to create change and transformation that is required. And I have to laugh at myself. While writing these words, I had a sudden image of Paul Revere of our revolutionary history, galloping on his horse, shouting, "The Tower card, the Tower card." And as many know, the tarot card in the major arcana depicts a frightful image of lightning striking the tower, and all in the tower fall where they may. And this is an ancient, primal, archetypal energy that we fear. We all know the recent events in the news, manipulation of the masses for personal gain, propaganda, insurrection on our capital, the very symbol and seat of our democracy, of our nation, and for the world. The ideals of the great Cincinnatian are embraced by our founding fathers as building blocks of our nation. Historically, the name Cincinnatus belongs to a real person of antiquity, Lucius Quintus Cincinnatus, who was asked to leave his livelihood to serve as a Roman consul meeting a sudden war emergency. And when the war was won, he returns his power back to the Senate and returns to plowing his fields. His actions embody the ethics of selfless service. He relinquished everything to save the Republic. This very credo is adopted by our first president, George Washington, who belonged to the then secret society of the Cincinnatian, along with others from the Continental Army, all looking to bestow an auspicious beginning to this nation. Those directions written in the Piscean time of Matthew, the Beatitudes, how to personally arise out of hardship were relevant then and also are relevant in this pivotal time. Jesus gives us a code to better ourselves by. Our inner consciousness is not promised in an orderly universe. Our Bible is about meeting the inner sacred in the real life of this incarnate moment now, directions provided. Chaos is an order we do not yet understand. Walk to the mountaintop to embrace the moments, be the good and share it. In these days, as the old order falls away, we will be called to do the good in any variety of ways. Maybe you serve in civil service or the military, then serve as you have been trained to the highest good, be the watchdog or the physical arm that protects. Maybe you're at home, no work and just getting by, then let the light of your eyes help someone else see. In all things, let the inner guiding light that we have move your actions as we prepare ourselves, as we are the new Cincinnatians in the Aquarian age. Blessings to you all this day and every day going forward.